Hello guys, welcome to April Q&A session, and today only two of us will answer your questions. Igor Lebedev, SONM CTO, and me, Vitaly, Content Manager. And we are trying to test new time for our Q&A sessions, and this time we're making it 2 hours later than usual. And so we are trying to let you get home and watch our session. And my purpose in this to get more viewers, online viewers. Now it's only 15. Okay, I hope more people will join us today. And we've been collecting questions from Slido and Twitter, and we got lots of questions about Operation A. You probably heard about it. And most of questions, it's a group of questions about who's that secret customer needing all these servers.
At this moment, we would not like to tell any more details about who could possibly use this. You may think about this as just as a SONM opportunity to use the system right now in its not finished development state for some real application, for some real business task. So it would be just early to tell about any client, or would be just early to tell about some concrete things. It's just an experiment. It's just an opportunity for us. Because in a 1.5 months or in 2 months, we would be launching the system. So anyway, we have to test how it would be working in terms of the support, in terms of the release, in terms of how we would help install it. And this is like some test how we will launch. And this is indeed some kind of possible client. It could be. But first we need to establish this, and then we will see what we will disclose you more about this. So we would not comment anything about who could possibly get benefit of this, but you may just watch on the release we made about the requirements and make your own conclusions what it could be. I don't think it's difficult to understand what it could be, but still we don't confirm this and we don't say what it is exactly. It could be anything. But we would like to test, this is that case when SONM could be used right away, right today for some exact business task that is in demand today. And we would like to use this opportunity to try to build up a test network of real working computing nodes for some real earnings and real money. Even we have test tokens, we will pay with additional Ethereum, with real tokens for the contributors. So that's the reasons behind all of this.
And what about plans on how to count how much tokens you're going to pay?
We established rules like we will pay $4 for 1 terabyte of data transferred in both directions, in the outbound and the incoming connections. And we will calculate this traffic on our side, so we will know the details and we will pay these numbers in token equivalent to the same Ethereum.
Is it profitable? $4
It's
per
profitable.
terabyte?
I would say that for some specific web hosting, you may even try to rent like a virtual machine and host on there and even get the price margin. So with this level of price, you can rent a machine and earn a little bit more than you will pay for renting. This is the idea that you may use external web hosting, not the most expensive one, but you have to know the cheap options, but there is an opportunity.
So you can configure some server and make money from it as well.
But we mentioned that we will limit the number of instances per one service cloud provider, because we do not want the whole test network to be on one service provider or in a few of them. We want to have maximum spread of the system to see how it will be working.
So the best case will be a server set it up.
The best case is that you have your own capacity, your own network and your own hardware, or at least your own network, because in this case the network is most valuable resource. There are almost no specific, like if you read the requirements, we need 100 megabits traffic, which is relatively like it's hard to get such a link at home, for example, or even in some office, or only in medium or big companies you may have such a link. But the hardware requirements, the CPU and the memory, they are relatively low, almost nothing. So almost any PC with such an internet link may contribute. So it's about IP address and about the bandwidth.
Okay, guys, one important thing. We have set a limit for this Q&A session, 1 hour. So first half hour we will answer this list of questions from Slido, and then we will read all questions from live chat and speak directly with you. So stay with us and ask your question in YouTube chat, and we
may even mix them.
Yes, probably.
At this moment we have no new questions in the chat. Heavily promote. Yeah, we will talk about consensus a little bit
later about consensus, and we have a question from stranger from Russia, actually. Because of the Operation A, will the actual roadmap move to the right? So will we change some deadlines?
We made this, like the whole Operation A is performed by people not writing immediate code. All the developers are still developing the new system to release the testnet on consensus and to release the LiveNet in June. And the people who are currently building up the install script and building up these tests are analysts and testers. So they well know how system works, and still they know something about development, like small scripts, but they can handle them on their own. I will support our analysts. So the whole Operation A is performed by them. So roadmap won't move.
And one important thing about Operation A and the manual how to install all this stuff.
Yeah.
I heard that we are preparing a package.
We also prepared it already.
Yes.
One of the important things about the Operation A, like actual testing, is that we asked some people to install the software, and it was indeed hard for them to install. So we already realized this, and it took us 1.5 days to write the install script, and now we have an installation script. It's already on the GitHub. It installed the system with one command, with 2 commands, like actually 1 command, but never mind. So it helps us to understand how it will go when we will launch the LiveNet.
Okay, we have people confused about requirements of SONM to Operation A and LiveNet release. Will the main project requirements of SONM be similar to Operation A? I mean, the payout will be measured by computing power or by bandwidth full duplex. And will SONM require static IP and mainnet release?
Okay, what we do now in the Operation A is a small subset of possible tasks of SONM when it will launch the LiveNet. Currently, particularly in the Operation A, we need only bandwidth and APIs, like public APIs. This is the only thing we need for this task. But when SONM will launch in Live, it would not be limited to this, and particularly you don't need an API to run SONM as hardware supplier, and you don't need IP address at all to run SONM with the release of the LiveNet, because we have managed the net penetration and we have managed all the networking for work. And you may just rent your CPU or GPUs, which would be the most interesting case. But still, it would be also possible, if you have the API address, to also rent your hardware for some specific tasks. For example, rent your network capacity if you have it. If you have it and if you have API, you may rent it as well, not only limited to GPU. So the general system would be more flexible, and this is just one of the cases. And how we will calculate the resources, it will depend on the application, like on the usage. In this particular usage of the Operation A, the only thing we care about is the bandwidth and the API address. So, but with the general launch of SONM, we will count it in different ways. Generally, a general approach is that I'd say that even the operation A has a different pricing approach at all, because the general SONM approach is that we rent some capacity, like number of GPUs or CPUs or memory, and even network included, as a single price, for example, for a week or for a month, like you rent an instance in the cloud provider. And similarly would be on the SONM LiveNet. But currently, particularly for operation A, we pay not a fixed price, but a price determined because we pay with tokens out of the system. Just the operation A is working on the testnet, and you receive some fixed amount of some tokens which mean nothing at this moment, but then we calculate how your node is working, and we measure the capacity of the network you provided for us, the traffic, and then we pay you by the work done. So this is generally a whole different approach in operation A, not how the system would be working in June. And this shows the flexibility of how can we do this. So this is it.
Did you find some partnerships below Vergnode?
How do you
asking us? Below?
Yeah.
Vergnode. Did you find some?
You know, at this moment we understand that there are a lot of possible opportunities. We are working for almost a year, and we have already got a lot of contacts in different companies, even the IT giant companies, and even in some real business. And the most important thing for us is just to release a production something. So we are currently fully focused on the release in June. So when we have the release, we can just go on with our previous made agreements. So we have a lot of agreements that we made in the past for companies and people when we will launch. So we just have to launch now, and then we may work.
Look, we have a colleague, Fluder Maximal. He's answering questions from
Don't
Alexander.
eat our bread, please.
but it's okay. It's actually correct answer. So the price fluctuations shouldn't have a great impact.
About the price fluctuation, we have an approach to this problem. Like, we understand that the token price would jump up and down, and with the launch of the LiveNet, with masternodes, with all that factors combined together, it will really jump up and down. But we need somehow to settle the prices relatively in a permanent approach. So we have changed, as we're written in the monthly report, we have made prices in the USD and like in fiat currency. USD is just currently one option. In the future it could be euro or even Bitcoin if someone trusts Bitcoin as a stable price. So when you make a deal on SONM, like you rent a hardware for a week or for a month, you just say what amount of fiat currency equivalent of value you would like to receive. For example, I would like to receive $100 per month for this particular hardware, and then you will receive SONM tokens for the amount of $100 at the time of the billing. And the billing would itself take place once per hour for spot deals and once per day for limited deals, like for deals when you have a limited time term. So the price fluctuations won't influence, and you know, at the time of the billing, you will always receive the exact price you have agreed on in terms of like fiat currency value or in Bitcoin value when we will implement this later. But after you have received the payment, like it is like with mining, after you got the coin, you are not miner anymore, you are now an investor. So if you don't sell the coin right after you have earned it or mined it, you are now considered as an investor because you hodl. So it's your decision.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to master node category.
Yeah.
How many tokens for trusted node or master node? How many master nodes in total? How many do we need?
We're currently calculating this. We don't have, can't tell you the exact numbers at this moment, but just for you to understand this, there are some limitations. For example, the first limitation, like the bottom limitation, is that we could not make the stake and number of total stakes in the master node too small, because they will have the power to influence the stability of the system. So it must be a huge sum of money comparable to the number of SONM tokens overall. From the other side, when we will just start the system and when we will launch the market, it will grow gradually, and at the starting point there would not be really a lot of number of transactions, so they would not at the start generate a lot of like fees for the gates. So if there would be a huge stake totally on the gates, on the master nodes, but the traffic would be small, it would generate a really small amount of income for a single master node holder. So we have to somehow solve this totally. And the third limitation is that we cannot make this number. I'm talking about gates master nodes because there are different options for master nodes, but I'm talking about gate between master chain and the side chain. We cannot make this a lot of number of master nodes because they will have to vote on the master chain for outcoming transactions to master chain. And if we make the number of voting nodes too big, the voting procedure would be just too expensive in terms of the gas price on Ethereum. So we have to keep the number of master nodes relatively low. Still, the total stake must be relatively high, but at the same time not too high for the income on each master node to be reasonable. So this is like an equation we are trying to solve at this moment. We have some ideas that I just won't tell you until we accept it internally.
Yeah, we will announce the results of this process when we know exact facts. Okay, about consensus.
Probably below 100 nodes, probably between 10 and 100 nodes, probably somewhere there.
If you want a stable price for what makes
it would be somewhere around 10% of the tokens, perhaps more, perhaps smaller. We have one of the ideas is that we have a dynamic total stake determined by the number of by the volume of the transactions leaving and entering the sidechain. Like if we have a small amount of transaction volume, like number of tokens being totally transferred to and from the sidechain, we may have the smaller stake and smaller number of master nodes and smaller number of stakes. But as the flow will grow, we may increase the total stake just to ensure it's enough to cover the risks of the token flow. So one of the options is a dynamic stake size.
Okay, there is a question. If you want a stable price for one SONM, what makes investing in SONM interesting?
We are not saying we would like to make a stable price for one SONM. Yes,
exactly.
This is not the goal. The goal is that we have a stable price for a deal. Like you want to rent your GPU like for $5 per week or for a day. We want this to be stable. But the SONM price may go up and down. You will just, at the time of the billing and the time you will be paid for your GPU, you will receive that number of SONM tokens that is like equal to the $5 value. So if the token price will grow up, you will receive fewer tokens, but they are more expensive, or and backwards. So we are not trying to build stable price for one SONM token. This is not an investment like recommendation, but this is not our goal. Our goal is stable deals, not the stable token price. So because if you don't have the stable deal price, you cannot keep any time of long deals, because if you it's like buying watches or something for Bitcoin. When you make the agreement, the Bitcoin is 1,000. By the time you arrive to the shop, it's 2,000. So either the shop will lose value. So we don't want this to make happen. So the prices would be in some stable coin, but SONM will be used as a payment method. This is different.
Will you implement some kind of decentralized governance system to SONM? Who will make an important decision in the future?
Talking about decentralized governance is a one completely different topic. We have not yet discussed it with you. There are three main things to understand here. I mean, three influence points. One of them, and probably the most important, is the tokens itself, because in the world we live, the money is a universal value of your power, of your meaningness, about everything. So the most important thing is a vote of the value of the money and its tokens. The second thing, also important, is the authority and the reputation. I mean, if the people are working with SONM for half a year or for a year and they have some value with their reputation, because reputation is a value. You cannot just buy it, you have to work to get this.
Yes, it's hard to get it.
Yeah, so reputation is also a value that can be used as one of the parts in the equation of the governance. And the third part is the authority of the currently leading developer of the SONM system. And there is a group of people who are developing the system for the sake of the token holders. So they also have some authority to make decisions here, and we will have to find some degree of mixture. But currently we are talking about master nodes, not about anything else. So the equation would somehow include the influence of these groups I mentioned.
Okay, we have a question related to this topic that you just had. Okay, would there be some option how to set your server on maintenance without losing reputation? It's like when you have to fix something, will you lose your reputation?
This is a good question, because at this moment we were not thinking about this. At this moment, what we do for the June release is that you have two types of deals. You have spot deals and you have the limited deals. The spot deal is something that you can terminate at any time you want as a supplier or as a customer. This is just an open deal that can be terminated, like in AWS. And we also have limited deals, which the limitation means that they are limited by the time term. They are for 1 month, for 1 week, for 1 hour, it doesn't matter. And in that deals, only the customer may break the deal at any moment, because in our system it's customer oriented, and the customer may break any deal at any time and just pay for the time used and not for the resting amount of time. But the supplier has an obligation, if he has a limited deal, to maintain it through the whole deal time limitation. And currently we don't have anything like a maintenance period, but this is indeed a good question. Probably we have to somehow think about this. Probably we will introduce some kind of SLA later, not in the June release, but this is a good topic.
Okay, question from Arno Kraj. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm investing in SONM since I really love the underlying technique. I'm not interested in buying computing power, so my question remains, is it interesting for investors or purely for users?
You know, we don't give investment advices. You will not convince us to tell you something that will be like, you may treat it as an investment, just because this is not clear, not fair to do this. The answer is as following. We are doing the system with a limited amount of tokens, and we are building the system with a market that we expect to be raising, and this token would be used for some activities. So it's your own decision whether you need it or don't need it. You just need to take your own math and then take your own decisions. What we promote and recommend is that if you don't need it as a user, probably being a master node would be interesting for you, like maintaining the stability and the risks of the system and taking a fee for that work. Probably this would be something of interest for you.
From my point of view, if you believe in technology, if you believe in fog computing, you could, I don't know, make a research on fog computing future, and if you believe in this, you can decide what to do or not.
SONM token would be used for two important things. First is that it would be used for buying the resources on the SONM market, and the SONM market itself would be growing. I mean, the number of simultaneously running number of deals and number of resources bought at one moment of time would be growing as the market will be growing. And the second is that SONM token would be used for master nodes for keeping the stability of the system. So those tokens would have a usage.
I got the point of Arno tried to say. In his first question, he asked about will there be some kind of dividends?
No, there would not be any kind of dividend in this moment, but if you hold a master node, if you contribute some real work for the system, and being a master node is a work because you have to maintain the security, you have to solve some things. If you contribute this work, you will have some fees from this work, but not plain dividends like just for nothing.
It's quite simple to set up a master node, and there will be a proof of stake algorithm.
This is quite simple for, let's say about master nodes. There would be currently, as we see, two types of them. The common type that you probably expect to hear about a master node, it's a thing that creates blocks, like it's a thing that is mining the sidechain, creating blocks and like processing the transactions. And this is a typical meaning, and this is something we will implement in closer to the August or perhaps later, because currently system is the sidechain is running on the proof of authority system, not on the proof of stake. And the second meaning of the master node is the gatekeepers. And this is something unique for our project, because we have a sidechain and we have a main Ethereum network. We had an article about this, by the way. We need to somehow transfer tokens between the chains, and it could be done via atomic swaps or other techniques. But in atomic swap, you need a counterparty. So you mean when two people are exchanging tokens, we have two parties, and we may make this working. The other party would be the gatekeeper itself. So the master nodes would be the source of your payments if you would like, but you have to contribute work.
Alexander asks, after Arno got our point. Thank you for your question, Arno. And Alexander asks, I think the real question would be, if demand for computing power in the SONM network increases, will this also increase the SONM price?
Yes. The answer is yes, of course, because we have, it's very easy. The number of tokens is limited. They are already fully 100% pre-mined. They are pre-mined and distributed between the token holders. And the general like equation for the token price is that on the one side you have 444 million of token SONM tokens, and for on the other side you have a number of resources on the SONM market at one moment of time. So the number of tokens must be enough to pay the price for all the equipment bought at the same time. So as the number of equipment is growing, the token price may grow as well. I don't say it will grow, it may grow, but it's not dependent on me.
So it's just market.
It's a market, yes.
If higher the demand, so price.
It's not about the demand in the common sense of the market, because on the general market you have the supply, you have the demand, but not in that sense. In our case, what I mean is that SONM token is used in this scheme as a mean of payment, and the number is limited. Some of them are on the exchanges, some of them are on the wallet, some of them are in the masternodes, and some amount would be in the sidechain able to buy the resources. I mean, the more resources, as the number of resources on the SONM market will be growing, the number of resources per one token would be rising. So one token would have to be paid for more and more resources.
Yeah, I got it.
This is plain simple.
Yeah. How much risk will you have to build your own sidechain? Will it be entirely safe from all kinds of attacks or hackers?
There are risks, of course, and the solution is relatively new. And you know, I wonder how different projects running on Ethereum without running their own sidechain, because the prices are just way too expensive to run on the master chain. So I just wonder how are they doing without a sidechain. This is a very interesting thing for me. But there are indeed risks, and we will perform a security audit when we come with a final solution. So we hope to solve this.
Okay, let's go to our list. Okay, consensus? No. Let's continue with tech questions.
Yeah, we will just complete with the questions, and then we'll dedicate.
And we're already mixing it actually. What do you say to any client that has security concerns?
You know, the security question is a question I've been answering in all the Q&A sessions, and I will just try to summarize it at this moment. And by the way, I have some news. The general question is that not a single project in the blockchain space, not even the projects you may know, or not even projects in the top 100, none of them have the security solution if they're trying to do any calculation or computations. The storing projects like Storage or CiaCoin, they may have the solution because you just have to store the data in the cold state and don't have to open it on the equipment that is using to run the network. Only the client may open it with its encryption key. But if you run any kind of computations on the hardware you didn't even see with your eyes on your own, you don't have any privacy or security guarantees there. I mean, generally about the privacy, but security as well. So there is no industry solution for this, but we are working for one. We are doing a security trusted platform with Intel's technologies, and at the current state we are in the middle of the prototype, and we already have an understanding how we will probably do this with the technologies. So until we do this, probably it would be in summer, probably it would be later this year, but with high chances in this year we'll implement a trusted platform with hardware support to enforce some kind of real privacy and security. Probably, I don't want to say we will be the first in the industry, but looks like that, because we use the technology in the way they are not intended to be used. Because in general case you control the hardware, in our case it's reverse. But until we do this, we have a stack of workarounds. The first workaround is that not all projects require strict security and privacy. Some projects just don't require this. Second approach is that for some tasks you may handle this on the application side, and the example is Proton Mail, or example is that you may implement some kind of storage facilities based on SONM with encryption on your site. You may even implement a website or a system that would be encrypting the data on the client and keeping the backend in SONM where the data is encrypted securely. And another approach is that we will have hardware suppliers, not only people with mining equipment and not only people at home, but we will also have like trusted data centers. Like what you do generally, you just go to Google and you look for cloud providers and you see their website for the first time, and then you just go and run their server and trust them to keep your database with your database of clients, your website or whatever, or host anything sensible you may host there. So in SONM you will have the same opportunity. You will have a list of contributors and you may choose some of them that are professional cloud providers and so that are selling their capacity, and you may just trust them because you generally trust them on the internet.
Already.
Yeah, and the final solution, if none of these options are relevant for you, indeed there are some tasks, some execution tasks that are not sensitive for the privacy, like when you train neural networks and when you're rendering something. For some cases, if you have the price edge like 4 times lower or 5 times lower, you may consider reducing your privacy like assumptions and just run it cheaply. And finally, after that, if none of that is helping you, we are working on the trusted platform with hardware restrictions. This is it.
Okay, no more details. And also we will have a KYC procedure. And we have a question about this. Who have to apply for KYC? Customers or suppliers, or both?
It would be an optionable thing, like any, we'll have already, will have 4 levels. Previously we said 2, then 3, finally we'll have 4 levels. First is the anonymous users, like when we don't know anything about them. The second is when we have checked the phone or something, it's a registered state when we know that you cannot infinitely switch the accounts. The third state is the identified person when you have passed the KYC, and this is optional. And the fourth level is available for companies professionally running cloud services. And we will have a manual investigation of such companies, and we will provide special certificates for them that they are professional cloud providers when we see their data centers. And for people with KYC level 4, you may be sure that they are trusted cloud providers. Just run their any kind of resources as you do it commonly on the internet. So this would be optional, but still system would be usable for people as a supplier, as a customer, being fully anonymous and not knowing anything from each other, but probably the hardware supplier would not be happy to work with anonymous persons because they may host some risky things like bot networks and any harmful content or whatever restricted in your country. But if you as a supplier living on a boat and sailing in the ocean and you don't care about any country restrictions, probably you may accept like customers with anonymous status. So by the default, in the program code on the level of the default setup, the clients and the suppliers, I mean the suppliers would be demanding that the client has passed the KYC procedure by default. You may switch it off if you like, but probably you don't want to switch it off. And from the terms of the clients, you generally, if you manually select the provider, you just manually see whether it has KYC and who is it, or you don't have this information. So probably you would be also looking for an identified supplier, but this is optional.
So both suppliers and customers
yes,
can go through KYC. And
basically, there is no difference between a customer and supplier in SONM network. We have just a profile. Profile may be of that 4 levels that I mentioned, and any profile with KYC or without KYC may buy or sell the resources. So the customer or the supplier is just a like situational role when you're either buying or selling resources. You may do both at the same time.
Flodder, Maximal asking, aren't you afraid that through VPNs the same malicious people could apply as suppliers and then not fulfill their task over and over again?
No,
to
it's not
discredit your service.
It's not working like by hiding your IP address. To work with the system, you have to have a profile. By default, you may have an anonymous profile, but probably you won't find any counterparty for working with you. So if you would like anyone to be working with you, you will have to pass the KYC procedure. And after you do this, you will disclose who you are. It would not be known to everyone. It would not be written on the blockchain if you don't want to. You will have an option to write it on the blockchain if you like it, but it's not mandatory. And I mean, it doesn't matter how you come to the system, through a VPN or with a direct link. Anyway, you have to say which is your profile, what is your profile, and who you are if you want to make a deal. And if you have the KYC procedure, it doesn't matter whether you are using VPN or not. If you use it, if you like, if you need to pass some regulation in your country, just go and use it. It doesn't matter.
Okay, about countries. What if someone runs something that is allowed in country A, but it's getting executed in country B, where it's not legal to do?
The answer here is that SONM is not limited to any country specific. So we generally don't promote any malicious activities, and we generally promote you to be compliant with your local laws. But SONM itself is just a software developer. We are not part of the deals. So the thing you ask is a case when one person or one company, company A, is renting resources to a company B, and company B is paying company A. So they both have a country where they live, and the thing is that they too, in a pair, must be compliant with their laws. So, and this is a matter of them too, like being compliant. So, and when they make a deal, they know information about each other. Like company A is known who is company B and vice versa. So it's just their job to obey the laws. And you know, we will provide, when you have a deal on the SONM, just directly after the deal, if you are both identified, you will have an agreement template that you have to accept from the both sides, like agreement between the supplier and the customer. And now you will have to sign it with your keys. It will be done automatically, but anyway, you will have at least an electronic document, sign it with your keys, so at least you can prove, like technically prove, perhaps not in a like laws layer, but at least you'll have technically proof that counterparty has signed with his electronic keys the electronic agreement. And the agreement, there would be notes that you must be compliant with your local laws and you must take caution and behave normally.
Okay, we have a question from Droidify LLC, and And it sounds like SONM is taken on the cloud markets, AWS, Azure, Google, etc. SONM is a pure compute platform. I understand the techniques, yes, very cool. But other than for computing, what is the killer app of SONM? What is the killer application?
This is not a killer application. We are doing like we are a customer-oriented project, and we offer the customer some strange form of cloud computing. Like the project you mentioned, AWS, Google, and others, they are cloud providers, and something that we provide for our customers is a cloud service, but which works differently in some different way. Internally, this is fog computing, but it looks in some degree close to cloud computing. So in what way? In a way that you may rent an instance, and this instance has some differences from the typical cloud. In what sense? First, it's very cheap. It's times cheaper than you may find it anywhere else, and this is important. Many people are trying to save their costs. Second, it's geo-distributed all over the planet, so you may have a limited choice of data centers, and at these particular times of the history, the geo-distribution is important. You just read the news and you understand that you have to find a way to geo-distribute the services, and this is the second option. We will provide this, and this is something that the cloud service provider cannot offer you. And the 2 points, they relate to the specifics of the hardware. We will have specific hardware, the GPUs, which are very cheap on the consumer grade. You understand that there is enterprise grade hardware like NVIDIA Teslas, which are very expensive, and there are consumer grade hardware which you cannot even buy because you're a company. And the second reason you cannot buy it, that they are 3 times expensive at this moment because miners have purchased it out from all the shops all over the planet. And in SONM, you will have an opportunity to rent this exact hardware for your tasks, and this is an opportunity. So I mentioned the price, I mentioned the geo distribution, I mentioned the GPUs. There was some other fourth point from the marketing material I was preparing, but I just don't remember it, so please excuse me. So I mean, totally these things combined all together, they form the unique offer that we make as something like a cloud service for you. But internally, this is for computing by its nature.
It will be hybrid infrastructure.
Yeah.
So if we will have that data centers in our suppliers list,
there would be, yes.
Yes. So it's hybrid. In my point of view,
there is no killer app. We provide a platform for running different apps, and there could be some brilliant choices, like hosting proxies or hosting some things that allow you to crawl websites all over the planet. Like for example, if you are developing web bots, you have a problem to host it somewhere, so you may process millions of pages that you crawl and process the data from them, and you get IP bans for doing this. In SONM, you may perfectly host this because this is perfectly legal. Just websites don't like this, so you may use SONM to host some scripting things. And there are a lot of examples that can be reminded, like rendering is a perfect case. We are currently working with a company that are doing special effects for videos for real movies, and they are considering to run some rendering on SONM. And in other cases, machine learning. There are different cases that can perfectly run on SONM, and we would not like to say one of them as a killer case or killer app. We are doing a platform for many of them, and we will help others to deploy their cases on SONM, at least at the first time, until we have a big ecosystem.
Can we estimate how much money we will get by being a supplier of a certain set of computers?
Yeah, you may estimate. Just check how many money you will earn if you try to mine some cryptocurrency on your hardware, and expect you will earn at least that amount or more if we have, and as soon as we have real customers from real business. So at least you will have to earn the best price for crypto mining, because crypto mining would be part of the system that would be done when the equipment is not purchased for real business. Like when real business comes to some market, they may pay a little bit more than mining gives, because their prices in AWS or in cloud hosting are 4 or 5 times more expensive. They may offer 20% higher price and run the hardware that is currently doing crypto mining. But at the start of the system, there would not, honestly, there would be not many such customers. So at the start of the system, the most computations would be done for the crypto mining with few amounts of the customers.
Okay, hi guys. Jakub Kalarik asks, hi guys, how many coins will I need for master nodes? And we already discussed this master nodes things, and it's under estimation. You can watch it on a record later. So there is no number.
What is the criteria how you choose questions from the chat?
I am choosing short.
So, guys, if you want your questions to be selected by Vitaly, just make it short, because the longer the questions are, the longer it would take for him to read this and for us to discuss.
Yeah,
so.
Yes, and it's too late. I'm a bit tired and not lazy, just tired. So I prefer short.
You know, at this moment there are 2 questions with 4 or 5 lines, and we probably won't answer them because they're too long. Too long to read.
You know, were there are any task ideas in the recent months that you had to scrap because they were not practical or just not feasible? Do they affect the roadmap in any way?
There are a lot of ideas that are around the project, and we have to strictly focus on delivering something. So we are very strictly and dedicated to deliver the infrastructure, the service product release, the CryptoIaaS in June. And after that, we will be able to do different things on top of that.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the blockchain question. And actually, we have a question from Camilio10 that offering some Hedera hash graph uses Solidity and has solved the bottleneck scalability issue with Ethereum. They guarantee all Ethereum-based projects can be ported one day, one of their release. And it's actually related to the question from Twitter: what is SONM's backup plan if the Ethereum scaling solution don't work out or don't get developed fast enough? Is there another blockchain you would consider switching to?
At this moment, we are already on our backup plan. So the backup plan time has already arrived. We are
building
already,
a sidechain.
We already built it. We are already basically we just completely cloned Ethereum with our pure clean Genesis block, and we are running our sidechain, basically our own blockchain, and we are currently doing the gates.
Look, Camilo shortened it, his question, so I picked it up, but I picked it up when it was long.
Camilo,
because you did it twice, and I can see that it's important for you. Do you know something about this Hedera hash graph? What is this?
Particularly about this, I didn't heard about particular Hedera, but hash graph is like a blockchain but done as a tree, so it may run in parallel some branches. I mean, Hedera, at this particular moment, we have our own Ethereum clone, our own Ethereum sidechain, where we have the whole performance we can afford, and currently it will solve our task. But currently, we will wait and look how will Ethereum scale. If we don't like it, we'll probably either stay on our sidechain, or we may consider something that we will don't have to rewrite the Solidity. Probably whatever Hedera is, after they release, after they prove their production ready, probably we may have a look at them, but only after they have a production release. And by that time, you know, we have to launch in June, and we have to launch in June, we have to do it right now. So currently we are doing our own sidechain. Probably later, when they launch something and do something, we will just estimate. And how it's, I like how it looks. I just hear about the Hedera for the first time, but I like the idea of the hash graph. I've seen it in other projects. So if they keep the Solidity and the smart contracts, this would probably be something we're looking for. But let's first see what they will do.
Okay, Son Project, good nickname, actually, asks, Which one of the SONM partners already know how much computing power they will use? I think it's about Aeon, Phaster.
Aeon are soon launching the LiveNet.
Yes.
But anyway, we have to launch our LiveNet as well, so we can help them. You know, at this particular moment, we are not yet calculating the demand for the computing powers, because we will try to attract everything we can, and we still need to launch the release in June. So we are dedicated on the release. After we will launch it, we will calculate the numbers. Anyway, it will not make any difference, because we will try to attract everyone, and we have the solution to scale the system with crypto mining, with the crypto IaaS.
Okay. Is running, it's a question from Droidify, and the second part, short one. Is running a scalable app as easy as creating a Docker image and launching it on SONM, or is there a custom API?
Yes and no. Yes, because if your app is stateless, and if it's already prepared for running in parallel and for running in a distributed manner, it will work. But probably your application, which you currently have, is not suited for that. So probably you'll have to make some modifications in this application to make the full usage of SONM. If you would like to just simply run it as it is, it would be enough. But you have to write stateless application, somehow solve the state, somewhere keep the database, and you may perfectly run the stateless execution nodes on SONM.
Astronaut asks, how's Operation A so far? Did you get enough suppliers to hit the target and provide the resources needed by the client? When do you think we can have an update and the latest? And actually, we have not answered this kind of question.
You know, I may tell you the goal. The goal was to attract 100 machines with each 100 megabits line, so we have 10 gigabytes of capacity of the network, and at this moment we have applications for 50 of them, and currently less than half have completely installed SONM. But yesterday we realized the complexity of the installation, and since yesterday dinner we have prepared an install script for SONM, and so we expect this number to increase. So currently we are talking about numbers 50 to 100 machines, probably not machines, 50 to 100 contributors. And we needed total numbers of 10 gigabits, which we did not yet reach, but we have started only on the Friday, so we had 2 complete working days so far, not counting today, but okay, 3 with today. So we are working, it's just too early to report this.
Are you contracting businesses that make use of classic cloud providers to test SONM on, such as Wolfram Alpha? What is?
Sorry?
Are you contracting businesses that already using cloud providers to test SONM on?
Yes, not particularly Wolfram Alpha. I know about this. I was solving some mathematical tests using Wolfram Alpha when I was perhaps in 210. So I know Wolfram Alpha, but we're not contacting with them yet, but we were contacting with other business, as I mentioned. We were contacting with rendering, with machine learning companies that are ready to launch some real tasks on SONM today if we launch the Live network. So yes, we have such contacts, we have such estimations.
Okay, let's go back to the list. And it's about prices for computation power. Would there be an option, if desired price is not met, then run on my own external tasks instead of SONM platform? If price is met, then switch back again?
You may, you know, out of the box it's not working this way. Out of the box it's working like you install SONM on some hardware and you completely dedicate your hardware to working with SONM, but you can do this way. You may install the hardware, and you may use and buy your hardware from your own. Like you may write a software bot that would act as a customer and would try to purchase resources directly from your hardware supplier bot. And if the price is met, they will have a deal, like you will have an internal deal with yourself. And if someone is paying higher price, the deal would have to be spot deal, so it can be broken. And if someone is paying high, you just contribute to other person. So yes, this can be done on SONM. You will just have to be and the customer and a supplier at the same time.
Okay, the question from same user, Kamikaze. Let's say I bought expensive servers with full x16 PCI Express lanes. Would there be an option to run only high performance computations?
How this will work? Probably if you have such a setup with x16 PCI lanes, you have probably 2 or 3 GPUs per machine. So we just a week ago we decided to make a special benchmarks to detect that you don't have a typical mining rig with 1x PCI lanes, but you have x16. So we will have a special benchmark for this, and in your case, your resource would be shown on the SONM market as something special, as something different from other mining rigs. So you will have some edge in terms of the benchmarks. And how it will work? You may set the price that is higher than the crypto mining is, for example, 1.5 times higher, and so only people with real tasks would be able to buy it. And people with real tasks probably would be looking for a number of PCI lanes, which you will have. So you will have like a priority when they will be looking for them.
Jon Snow asks, is Operation a Telegram?
No comments. As I mentioned, we will not comment why and for what purposes do we do this.
Sorry, John. Okay. Are there any announcements planned for your talks at Consensus 2018 in New York? And we actually have this question.
We wanted to talk about Consensus.
Yeah, Consensus. We will have Igor Lebedev speaking on a panel discussion at Consensus, and what the topic is. It's about mining future.
About mining future, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we will have a panel discussion. There would be Genesis Mining and there would be us, and we would be discussing the mining future because they have a huge experience of mining, and we are doing something to make some other tasks for mining equipment. So there would be an interesting discussion. I don't know yet how it will go. It would be a discussion, so we will see how it will go. And also talking about the Consensus for anyone interested, how it will be working. It will take 3 days. We will have a special booth there. It will we will have public speakers there who will be
actually a big booth.
Yes.
It's about 6 times bigger than average one.
Yeah, we will have a lot of activities there. We have already a plan for that. We'll have a public speaker who will be constantly, like once per half an hour, doing speeches about SONM, like pitching like key things, key easy things.
Yeah,
to
special experienced actor.
Special experienced actor, yes. Then we will have a lot of product people there. We will explain things in details for those small amount of people who are interested in the details, and the general public would be covered by the public speaking person, not me, but the other, not a team member. This would be a special person, and there would be some other activities, some stuff with some logotype. There would be some like how to say it in English, I don't know, when people do some actions and they get a prize.
Entertainment.
Yes, there would be some, and there would be 2 speeches. One of them is Alexey Antonov, our founder. He would talk on the main stage about SONM, and
yeah, he's gonna open the conference, or yeah, with intro speech.
Yeah, okay, yes, and I will take part in the panel discussion about the future of the mining, and then the day next of the Consensus we'll have a meetup in New York as well for those interested. So we'll have quite an interesting like plan and program. There was a question about whether will I smile at the Consensus. So you know,
yeah, Miha asks, is Igor gonna smile at Consensus?
Yeah. Basically, I don't have any problems with smiling. I just need a joke to be said, so I will be smiling. And generally, when I talk about something, I just try to say something like serious, so you don't watch me as a clown. So I just say some serious things, and you must understand I have brackets, so I still have like. It's a little bit weird for me, or those kind of moments. So when it's something funny, I am able to joke and to smile. But
yeah, Igor,
generally, the situations in which you see me, you generally want me to talk about serious things, not making jokes. And probably a little bit of smiling would be great, but...
And I think Micha asks this because of full version of your presentation at CloudFest in Rust, Germany. And you were serious, very serious. Maybe because there were...
Okay, I must probably say that I did not yet reach the level of public speaking where you just like talk about funny things with a smile. Probably still not my level, because I try to say about important things in the way that it could be understood by people, so just probably not yet my level.
But I like your presentation. It's actually with common sense, with I don't know. I like it. And what kind of jokes do you want? Beat Connect level of presentation or what? We're not going to provide this level of...
Yeah, but if you like, I may tell you a lot of funny things about ICOs and about crypto projects if you want to talk about jokes. So there are plenty of opportunities, but probably you don't want me to take part in them, so...
Okay, Jon Snow asking, are you aware about Elastic project, which released testnet of their version of decentralized computer last week?
Okay, I know about the project Elastic,
yes.
But it has nothing to do with us. We don't have any interest in it. It's not our competitor, not our customer, not our supplier. Probably it could be our customer, so because they're developing their own language, probably if they would be successful, if they would release, and if that would be going on, and if they would be paying for computations, probably SONM can house them. But I don't see any interest in them because we do a completely different thing.
Okay, guys asking about Sergey Ponomarev. Didn't hear for a while from Sergey what are his exact responsibilities as CEO, and some of them. Okay, Chris Perry. Who cares where is the CEO? Is when we have
it's not,
Igor.
no,
but it's not.
You may ask Sergey on your own. He has some
yes.
own tasks, and he is working on the front of our organization. He is doing some research and doing some activities on the front, and we are sitting on the back end and developing the software. So we just have different kind of roles. So it's okay. We have just different activities.
So he's in control, right? He's controlling the process.
Of course.
Yes. That's it. Hey, let's go forward about consensus. We have questions from Micha. Hello, Micha, if you're watching us, our dear friend. Your questions about consensus. Why you decided to become a title sponsor at Consensus 2018? It's just because the consensus is the most popular event in cryptocurrency community, and we want to tell our story. We made a huge progress for the last 1 year, and we want to tell our story to the community. We want to get famous.
Yeah, after all, even that I say we are an IT project and we are working for the general IT, but still we have cryptocurrency regions, and this is a major, perhaps the biggest cryptocurrency and decentralized application conference. So we would like to be there and show our flag there and show what we are doing, and we have a lot of announcement for people from that sphere, for the miners, for the customers, probably for cryptocurrency projects, and even for the investors possible. So we have a lot of things to say there. Where should we go if not on consensus, if we talk about cryptocurrency?
And one more question about consensus from an anonymous user. Are you going to show graphical interface at
yes,
the consensus?
We will. This is basically the the most important thing that we will show there. We are going to show the graphical user interface, the application. It will allow, as we currently have released, that is basically just a wallet for tokens and Ethereum. There would be an option to deposit and withdraw tokens to the sidechain. There would be an option to see the profiles of the SONM and of the suppliers and the customers, and there would be an option to buy a resource via the graphical interface. Not like it was in the December when you were using the command line. You will have a graphical interface for that. So this will be something that we will show basically. So basically the consensus would be about us like announcing our testnet release. So this is one of the main messages that we are going to say. Yes, the testnet. The livenet is in June. We will
yes.
The code is still being written and tested. You may see updates on our GitHub. So we currently rush a lot for the consensus. We have still 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks for testing and for writing the code. So we would be announcing the testnet release on the consensus and showing the graphical interface for that. Another topic. So what topics are for the consensus? First is the release itself. The second topic is how we see the future of the mining, because what we do is basically a future of the mining in some sense. Mm-hmm. From the other sense, this is some fancy type of cloud services which is fog computing. And this is another sense, but probably fog computing is not the topic for the consensus, because people on the consensus will probably better understand the mining topic, because there would be a lot of people around that.
Okay, a question from Andreas Panay. Sorry if I'm misreading your names. How is the partnership with Phaster? Their token will be released in May.
We are talking with Phaster. We meet with them regularly at the conferences. At this particular time, we are completely busy writing the software, so we just anyway we have to implement our production release to help them with the computational power. So currently we are dedicated on the release, and after we will release in June, we will get back with contacts with previously made partnerships to help them with the computational powers.
Thomas Moss asks, not sure if that was asked before, and it wasn't, will there be a bug bounty aside from using hacking?
Yeah, there would be some. We understand that this is an essential thing. There would be, just we did not yet place our hands on this, so this is just one of the questions in the queue for being solved.
Okay, is it possible, question from Flutter, is it possible to multiple suppliers to work on the same task, or is it only possible when the task run in parallel instead of
this is a good question. You have to understand what is a task in SONM. A task in SONM is technically just a launching of the Docker container on the resources you have purchased. So you may purchase different resources from different suppliers, and on each of them you have to launch a Docker container. You cannot launch one container on many machines like as one instance. You may prepare one container and launch it on different machines, but those would be different instances with different computations. So if you would like some tasks to be solved like in parallel and with some meaningful relations to each other on different machines, you have to write such an applications and then place it into Docker and deploy on multiple machines. So this is how it is done. So at this moment we are doing the marketplace to sell the infrastructure as a service. So we are selling the computing instances, and you may use them to run different containers. Later we will be doing the platform as a service, and we will do some scaling for this, some like pay as you go, but still this would be stateless tasks. So we don't implement any kind of computational like approach. So you may write one big tasks that would be somehow spread on the system. This is basically what Golem is doing or Elastic is doing. We are just doing the different thing. We may provide the raw computing power, and we may host such projects as Golem, exec, or as you mentioned, Elastic, because they are doing some kind of computations on top of multiple nodes. And we are doing the raw resources, which is a more universal approach. I don't say it's better, it's not better, it's just different. And it may be used for a wider like number of applications.
Arno asked, will there be a live stream from Consensus? Yes, I think we will make some live streams. I'm not sure. No, I will be not there. So my colleagues may make some.
Probably there would be live stream probably from the speeches probably, but I don't know. This is a question.
Instagram live streams as well.
The goal is not to get
some project asks, is the goal of Consensus to get more partnerships? Yes, of course. Not yes. About
in this sense, yes.
Yes. Is it?
Yeah, I was just thinking he was asking generally, because generally we don't need partnerships, we just need clients and suppliers. So, but yes, when we go on Consensus, we are talking about making partnerships with some cryptocurrency projects and other things. So in that sense, yes.
To get some huge company as a customer, or
as a
client,
customer or a supplier or a technological
is a partnership. And yes, we want. And Crypto EAS is actually made for this. Would there be? Okay, will a third-party audit your production-ready release?
Yes, when we are closer to the release, we will think about auditing the code which relates to the security and tokens, not the whole system design probably.
Okay, would there be some Bitcoin tax signature campaign?
It's about like spreading the awareness about SONM in the signatures and receiving like bounties for this. It's like on the times of the ICO, when people just are writing messages in different random topics and you see their signature.
Yeah, I got it.
Buy SONM. SONM is launched.
I'm not sure about it.
I think this is a good idea, and probably the marketing will do this.
Okay, is some Docker container distribution to host machines like the Kubernetes idea of container pods?
Not exactly, not at this moment. We have some long-term goals to integrate with Kubernetes, and there are different ways how to do this. And one of them is to adopt Kubernetes to SONM or adopt SONM to Kubernetes, different approaches. But currently we have a simplified approach. We just host your containers that you manually launch on the SONM system. This still has a lot of things that can be improved to be more closer to the pods concept or to the Kubernetes itself. But probably we don't want to reinvent the Kubernetes. And the approach is that in June we will release a simple theme that is able to buy and sell resources, which is basically the most essential thing. And then you may deploy like single containers. And after we have that working, we'll just have a Kubernetes integration, and then we'll have the whole orchestration, the pods concept and everything, overlay network, everything Kubernetes is doing, we'll have it internally in SONM. But still, we don't want to invent and do things that Kubernetes is doing perfectly. This is just an industry standard. But still, we have some things that Kubernetes is not doing. And Kubernetes is not doing geo-distribution system. Kubernetes is not doing the marketplace and not doing profiles on the blockchain and that kind of thing. So that things we will take on our own, and the rest of the system probably would be running on Kubernetes after some time. But still there are some questions on how we will implement this. Different options.
Okay, so it's one of our future priorities.
There is a good question about the open position.
Question from Astronauta: is there an open position to work remotely and help some team?
Indeed,
yes.
We have resources to attract people remotely, and we have a lot of work to do. But currently, the way how we organize and the way how we communicate, it requires you to be in the office. I mean that first, the whole project documentation, the whole task tracker, the whole internal knowledge base. We have a very big internal knowledge base with all the specifications, with all the architecture things. They are completely private inside the company. And currently, we are not going to open this to the public. So, for us, for you working on some project or writing code, requires you to get access to the internal documents. And currently, this is only available to the people who are in the office. But probably we will change this in the future. And when we will do this? When we will have some stable release working, when we have some stable APIs, so we may just spread one things from others, then we will have the ability to hire external people. But at this particular moment, things are changing so fast. We are changing APIs during the whole day. So until we finish with this, we cannot attract external people. But then, yes.
Okay, we already 1 hour and 14 minutes streaming our Q&A session.
So okay, let's see.
Let's see. In our list, we have marketing question from Miha, and it's about: is the marketing team still competent to make hype like the one of at the pre-ICO? Miha, look, at that time when pre-ICO was running, we had a marketing director, Olga Kazmina, and now the same person running marketing department. So you can think about it. And now our marketing team is even stronger. Yeah, you can be sure it's stronger. And the second question: what is SONM's marketing plan for 2018 and strategy for building network adoption? And I asked Camila, we discussed this question, and actually marketing strategy is our plan how to promote our product. Okay, Igor is going to answer.
You go on with marketing.
Okay, I will continue with marketing. Our strategy is our plan to promote our product, and we're not going to publish all details of our strategy. It's like we do have competitors, and we don't want to disclosure all the details because we want to keep some things in a secret. So all these questions about marketing strategy, we are not going to disclosure it. We have a strategy and we are implementing it right now. So yes, we have a strategy. And the question from Cryptoyanka: will SONM token be in more major exchanges by the time the mainnet will be released in June, August? We have discussed these questions lots. I don't know, every Q&A session we have discussed this question, and the listing, the process of listing our tokens is not depends on us. And we have no right to announce this or that exchange to list SONM token. We can only announce it after they decide that they already listed it and they announce it, and then we can say something about it. And it's not on us. It's like we're not deciding this. And another question. Okay, what are you doing?
I was trying to, while you were talking about marketing, I was trying to answer some questions. Okay, well, let's go back to the speech.
Okay, look, we had a question. We have a question from Miha. How does the team like new song, rap song?
Did you see the new song? It was basically in Russian, but the things you need to understand about the song, which I have also seen myself, is that of course it's a joke, as it's perfectly seen by the title comedy on the YouTube. So
it's just like
yeah,
somebody's joke.
I've seen it first time yesterday, probably yesterday, and I noticed that it's in the comedy section. So as a joke, as a like something funny, yeah, it's indeed funny, but it's not serious. So just don't worry, I think. I don't think that there is something important or serious about it, but it's still funny.
Okay, are you satisfied with your chat in YouTube?
Okay, I will not try to continue chatting because anyway I'm always in the Telegram chat, so I always answer questions when you mentioned me by nick, so I think no sense in typing at this moment.
Yeah, we always open to any questions in our Telegram chat, so you can ask and you will get an answer when we will have time.
Okay guys, let's have a 5-minute brief thing of just answering whatever is in chat, and as soon as we get it gets boring, we will just stop it. How far are you from getting to your main goal? We are, you know, the main goal is relatively long term. We were doing a long term project, and so we have a set of closer goals, and currently one of these closer goals is close. It's June, it's first LiveNet release, so we are just 2 months before our first intermediate goal, and this is important thing. The second goals would be for the rest part of the year with the August release, and then next year would be with the platform as a service. So there is a lot of things we plan to do.
Okay.
But some of them are close.
We have one question from our list. When miners from Russia can rent out their equipment? It's a question from Pavel Durov. I don't know. I think it's a fake name.
Of course, fake, but nice nick.
Nice.
You know, miners from Russia can rent their equipment at the same time as people from not Russia, from people as from all over the world in June when we will release the LiveNet. But still, we have an Operation A which is available for everyone except from Russia. So people from Russia would be able to run the hardware with the general release in June with the CryptEAS.
Is this development funded by the funds raised on in the ICO, or is there any external sponsors, funds, investors?
It's fully funded by the ICO, and as you may expect and just notice on the cryptocurrency prices raised since that time, we are fully funded by this, and this is okay.
I know nothing about it. Hey guys, what do you think about making this Q&A session this time? It's like a 6 p.m. UTC. Is it convenient for you, or we better change the time? Okay, so something wrong with the image, and we will fix it right now. We are fixing it. Sorry guys, the batteries in our camera just died, and we are changing this. Sorry.
There should have been a charger, but probably it didn't work out somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, we still have our chat.
Yes, yes, and then you guys probably can hear us, but don't see anything. When is your next Q&A? Next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, next month.
It's about the convenience for suppliers and customers to buy sell SONM. Well, probably there would be some fiat gateways which will be allowing to buy and sell SONM for the fiat currency directly, but someone has to implement them, because probably we won't be doing this on our own. And this is at the same level of the convenience as with any other projects in the crypto space.
Okay, next time we will keep this time, and my goal is to get more of you in our live conversation, and next time we will probably try to skip the Slido questions, collecting it, and just stay with the YouTube chat. We are considering this opportunity, and actually I want to make this change. And
there were some people complaining about the camera, but as we mentioned, we were planning to talk for just 1 hour, and it's already 1.5 hours, so we are just overdoing our initial goals. And the second thing is not about camera going down, but how we solve it. And as you see, we have solved it, and
yes,
we have managed this.
Yeah, sorry for the picture issue, the battery died, and
things may go down, but it's important how we solve them.
Yeah, we are not. Sorry.
You still see us, right?
Yeah. There is a picture. Guys, let's finish this question and answer session. Thank you a lot for your questions. Thank you for watching. Please visit the next Q&A session and watch us online. We are always open for your questions. We are trying to keep the transparency of our activities. And goodbye. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Are we finished? comrade.